is the number of employees, type, amount of equipment, size and exterior storage area, and size of operations area. So that kind of goes over the restrictions.
So those are all the changes?
That's
No,
what it says
that what
now.
That's what it reads right now.
That's what it says now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So basically the question is the setback.
Now, we're looking at setback. So
The
like, that's what
setback
we're
from the
looking at.
road was the question. So right now it's 50-foot setback from the road and 30 feet from other property lines. And the question is, would it be beneficial to make it 30 feet as a setback so that more buildings would be able to be used under this ordinance? And it would seem to me that that would be encouraging more businesses to be located in home-based businesses and enterprises to be able to do that.
So this is only, like a home-based enterprise is only in C4, so that's like, well, you can look at the map,
Yeah,
that's like the
Which one
web,
is
the,
It's like the rural district, pretty much.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be
Right.
in town,
In town.
because most people don't have 30 feet
yeah,
from the road, or 30 feet, they might not have 30
Right.
feet. So this is pretty much the rural roads, and allowing people to have a greater number of businesses out there, I guess. Any thoughts
Is there
on
an issue
that?
right now with people coming in and not being able to get a business?
I don't know. I know I had mentioned to Catherine that when we had our little cafe, I mean, it didn't apply to us because we were a farm, we were a
Mhm.
farm store. But if we had our little cafe out there, I don't think it would have met the 50-foot setback. So, I mean, that would have been, to my particular lot, it would have been restrictive as to what that building could have been used
Mhm.
for if somebody wanted to do something like that. Most of the rural houses are more than 50 feet back.
Right.
I don't think it would affect a huge number of properties, but there might be properties within that it could allow people to be using. If somebody has their house is back, but their garage is closer to the road,
Mhm.
if it's the garage and then the house, and they want to use their garage as a business space, then that could be,
Right.
because obviously they're considering it as part of the 50% of living space, that could be
Mhm.
the deciding factor on that. Do you see any negatives to being able to allow more buildings to be used for home enterprise based on just the location of the building?
no, not in that particular, in C4, no.
So is that a recommendation that we want to make to the council and the planning board to go ahead and
Does this have to go in front of the planning board, or can we just approve this, or the council?
believe
I mean, because the only time it has to go in front of the planning board, is there's more than 25 visits per day.
to get their
To
initial
get there,
license.
right.
So you don't think this would have to go back even though it's an ordinance?
It may not have to,
change?
that's what I'm thinking, it may not have to.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to go, like I said, the only time it has to go to the planning board is if it's more than 25 visits per day in and out.
Yeah. Last time we did an ordinance
It
change,
probably wouldn't hurt to go through the planning board.
they made
but-
a change and then they
but I
sent
don't
it to
know if we
us,
used
the ordinance committee, and then we looked at it and we made
Right,
recommendations and we
and
sent it back to
them,
them.
then they sent it back to us.
And then it came back
Right,
again,
'cause we
and
wanted,
then the
we
council.
we wanted them to make more changes to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, but
But I
I
don't
mean,
know,
this is a
but-
pretty
I mean, it's not
straightforward
gonna hurt to send it
change.
to the
Get
planning
more
board.
input.
Okay,
Right,
Yeah.
but I don't think it really needs to, but it won't hurt to send it to them.
so committee recommends,
Steve Seekins would have a lot of
Change.
knowledge on that. and,
Right.
He deals with us on a daily basis
Yeah.
almost. so.
yeah, well, this is his notes back to Catherine on the
Yeah.
memo that he had wrote to her in the bold there.
Yes,
And
I don't
he's
have any
citing
problem
the
with changing that.
ordinances.
I don't think it's gonna make a big, I don't think people are gonna rush in here because we change it from 50
Right.
feet to 30 feet, so.
That's right. So I'll just put a question mark as this
Yeah.
goes back to the planning board to council. Catherine knows which way it goes from there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, one down. Okay, second one is home occupation zoning. Having a vehicle with a small mower on it. So the question that came up was having a vehicle with a small mower on it or other item actively engaged in the business must be parked in a separate location. This is relevant to several zones. Perhaps there's a compromise to which an individual could have one vehicle at his home for his home occupation business in an effort to promote small businesses which are the backbone of the state of Maine. Steve's reply was, we've always allowed a business lettered vehicle or unlettered vehicle to be parked in a yard. Equipment, materials, and supplies are not allowed outside of a building though. Maybe a change to allow a fenced-in area would be a solution. So it sounds like somebody that might have like
Yard.
a mowing business or a yard business generated that question. So under home occupations, it just says they're an accessory to and compatible with residential use and permitted in any single or two-family dwelling unit. Permit for a home occupation shall be granted if the code officer finds the activity conforms. And then it goes on to list profession carried out wholly within the dwelling unit or within a structure that's customarily accessory.
one-
That would be like a garage.
Or within the building itself.
Yeah.
I just don't see a whole lot of difference, say it's this one, if it's this one guy with a mower and, you know, like a mower
But
and
that's not taking
plows.
place within the dwelling. I don't understand that.
Profession shall be carried out wholly within the dwelling unit or within a structure.
I mean, if I have a mowing business, I'm not,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Dave with the phone, maybe in my house, and I take a phone call and go and mow your lawn, but.
You're not gonna have a whole nother garage, so to speak, for.
But it doesn't make sense.
Because it says no exterior storage of materials, equipment, vehicles, or supplies.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, if you have a business that you get a lot of supplies and stuff, can't have them outside.
Right.
Right.
But if it has to be within the dwelling, a mowing business doesn't fit that description anyway. Or a yard business.
Right. That's, you go off somebody else's
Right,
place, you don't do it
exactly.
right there
Right.
anyway. But it sounds like the issue was he was coming back home at night and had his trailer loaded up with all of his
Yeah, right,
supplies.
sitting in the
and,
yard.
Yeah, and it was just
Yeah.
sitting in
People
the yard.
complaining or something, I don't know.
But to me, that's no different than somebody having a lawnmower in the yard anyway.
Right.
Right.
As long as it's just a one, it's limited to one person.
Right.
No
That's
more
what I was
one
gonna
person,
say.
so-
The home occupation is a scaled down
Right.
version
Of the
of the
enterprise.
home enterprise
Right.
because you're only allowed one person other than the family to be employed and not greater than 25 trips per day. It doesn't give you the option to have it permitted otherwise like the other one did.
Right.
And it also says that you can't utilize more than 35% of the gross floor area of the dwelling unit. So that
And you
has
can't
more
change any-
restrictions.
Make any changes to the structure either, so.
Right, you can't like
Oh,
add
so you
extra
increase the
doors or
visibility.
access or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
I don't know, it sounds like if somebody's just,
I don't know, problem, somebody wants to put a fence up and store some stuff behind it, that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that the option to have a fenced-in area is a solution.
Yeah.
Like they could park their trailer or have their equipment behind. But if it's a service base, then they're not gonna be working within the dwelling.
Right, and that's not home occupation at that point, so.
It would be more home enterprise.
Right.
But I don't know if home occupations are they allowed in certain
It
areas?
says it, oh no, in all areas,
Where does it say?
home occupation.
Residential, single and two-family dwelling unit, any single,
In any single dwelling.
It doesn't give
if
us
it's
a.
compatible with the residential use.
Right.
It doesn't break it down to like
It
or
doesn't.
narrow it down to a specific zone or
No.
It
anything.
doesn't talk anything
No.
about the districts, the zoning districts on this one.
And I think where it's based within the dwelling, I think that's why.
Mm. Yeah, because it doesn't really matter where you're
Right,
located. If you're-
exactly.
Like, to me, this is like somebody that has like a hair salon or something, and
Mhm.
she works out of her home and might
Yeah.
have one other person,
Mhm.
working with her, him or her. you know, because of something that's small
Mhm.
scale. Or even that if you have an office that somebody, if you have professional services like a CPA
Mhm.
or something like that, where you just have people
Right.
coming
Yep.
to the house to do that, and you have like an office in your home. But I mean, I don't think it's a problem to let people park their vehicles.
No, I don't either.
I don't know why this would be an issue to begin with. Having a vehicle with a small mower, actually must be parked at a separate location. Do we wanna ask for clarification on what the actual issue is here?
Wouldn't hurt.
I mean, is it the fact that somebody's coming home and
Parking the
parking and they just have their work vehicle with them? Or are they actually operating out of?
Yeah, cause if they're just coming home at night, you know, with their stuff loaded up for tomorrow, you know, the next day, and I don't see a problem, but if they're just like sitting there, like, working on lawnmowers and there's a million junk.
Yeah, maybe that's what
things
that
laying
refers to
around.
then, I don't know, but,
Yeah, if they're transporting
Yeah.
things or
Mhm.
something.
That's where it could.
right, where a person's working on, versus like a little mechanic shop or something.
Yeah, so fenced area, do we all agree that a fenced area
I
would
have
be
no
a good
problem with that at all.
solution?
Yeah, no problem with that.
And do we need any clarification on the zoning areas? It says it's relevant to several zones, but it doesn't talk about which ones. I would think any zone
I would think so,
Mm.
would be,
except your industrial, I can't imagine.
Yeah, it just says any single or two family dwelling unit, so it's
that's
pretty
just
open.
about
really.
any.
Yeah. You know, it has those in the industrial zone anyway, so.
Right.
Right, so we think, okay, fenced area as a modification. Okay, so the next one, there's some information in our packet. I don't think we have anything in our ordinances about it at all right now. So the next one is, pesticide ban for Roundup and other similar items on public properties. This was attempted in southern Maine, and perhaps your code enforcement group would have some background on how we could ban some of these dangerous pesticides. And Steve attached the Maine statute, Title 7, subsection 625, right-of-way spraying, no spray agreements, which doesn't really, I don't think that addresses the question that
We would
we're
have to
looking
write
at.
a policy on that,
I think that requires a little more work than,
Right.
We're talking like the public works using pesticides.
right, I think the intent on this is that within all the properties that the town of Pittsfield owns, that Public Works would not be applying any Roundup, and that would include the parks, which
Yeah.
are managed, owned by the town, but managed by
park committees.
park committee and the library and things like that.
Mhm.
And the intent would be, you know, you don't have kids playing on grass that's been sprayed and whatnot. There's a list here of towns that Steve, gave us and it lists some of the restrictions that they've placed on it. And it's everything from just no aerial application to, pesticides in woodlands prohibited, and that type of thing, and some have outright bans. It just depends on, you know, what they've done. And I don't know if we would want to extend this, if we want to just say for public works use, or if we would want to extend this to the community at large, or if we would want more information about that.
The problem is you can ban it, but who's gonna enforce it, you
Right.
know? Like,
Right.
you can tell people you can't do that.
Right.
I'm gonna
There's
know,
no-
if I spray Roundup on around my pool or whatever.
Yeah.
But are we using Roundup right now as a town, or do you know, or?
I believe
Or
Catherine
we-
has said that, only when absolutely necessary, that they prefer not to. But, I don't know, but it's not like in an ordinance that we
Right.
don't. The other option too is, the other issue too is that we have a lot of power lines that go through the town of Pittsfield,
Mhm.
and they definitely spray those. I've chased them off my land before, because they were spraying stuff, and our well is up by the road, you know, and they're spraying across the street, and I'm like, hey, you know what, my well's right there,
Mhm.
you know, I told them, like, hey, I'll cut down all the brush, don't be spraying anything. And you can, there was language in here in this ordinance, from the state, that you can have, no spray agreements with a municipality and Department of Transportation if we don't want them to be spraying the bridge abutments. A lot of times they'll go through and, like, the grass will grow up around the bridge abutments, and the next thing you know, it all dies. It's because they came through and sprayed Roundup on it. You know, and to me, spraying Roundup at a bridge abutment where the water is not the best, you know, approach there. But it's cost effective for them. It's less man hours. And
Yeah.
so I read through this, and it sounded like they would want the town to basically take over doing that and clear the unwanted vegetation. And then if you don't come to an agreement, then they just get to do whatever they want anyway, pretty much. So I don't know if we want to, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer to say that, you know, our town, as a
Yeah.
policy, our town buildings and our town
Right.
parks and whatnot, wouldn't be using, you know, wouldn't be using herbicides. And then, I don't know if we wanna look at, my initial thought was, let's do some community, education workshops, or maybe have a presentation during town council from organizations. There's, Natural Resource Council in Maine might be able to present some information. MOFGA probably has information about pesticide use and the effects of that. And we can use that as a way to, kind of educate ourselves on the council about it a little bit more. And then we can kind of delve into what the other towns have done. You know, I think it might be something that we can definitely work towards. I don't know if we want to do it just outright without having more public input on it.
Yeah, I think we'd have to have some kind of public hearing or something on it.
Well, any of the ordinance changes will have a public hearing with
Oh,
them.
okay.
That's why they tend to be all grouped together and have a bunch of them, and they Catherine kind of saves them, does them all,
Right.
because of the advertising is expensive.
Mhm.
So that's why we end up with a bunch of these hodgepodge things that don't really seem like they're, related to each other. But, I don't know, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think definitely, I mean, for me, for us as a town, not spraying, that's an easy one to do. It gets harder when we go to like the state
Individual.
level or individuals or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we have easy control over that.
Right, it's a matter
That's-
of policy,
It's a definite start anyway,
right?
you know, lead by example.
Exactly, yeah, lead by example, get more information to the council, and then get that information out into the wider. Cause it just kills me when I walk into like Home Depot or something, and there's like hundreds of gallon jugs stacked up, and I was like, no! But anyway, that's just me. So you're good with that, Bob?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
And so that would, on town properties, so that would include the parks, the buildings and grounds.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere else we would wanna specify? We have a lot of parks, that's why I wanna make sure it's listed in there.
The highway department doesn't spray anything like that, or
I don't think so.
I guess it's like more of a state thing. They spray, like they have those big dump trucks and they just spray it right out of that.
Yeah, they have those big tanks. Okay, so that'll be the committee recommendation. Okay. And then, do we wanna pursue getting somebody to come in and make a presentation of some kind to the council, be able to have it on air about pesticide use, or?
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't hurt if we could get someone that would be willing to do that for
Yeah,
us.
that would be a good idea.
Especially now with the streaming, that
Mm.
will reach a lot more people.
Mm-hmm.
But along with that, I mean, because it'd be more of a individual thing,
Mm-hmm.
like the people spray for ants and
Yeah,
stuff like that would,
yeah. Cause there's like all natural things you can do about
Right.
ants and things like that that
Ticks
don't
is
have toxic.
Ticks is a big thing for, like, if you're out in the country part, like,
Mm-hmm.
I know we spray our back lawn for the dogs and stuff, and
Mhm.
it makes a huge difference, but I don't know what kind of side effects it has.
Right, what other
Yeah.
insects are being affected and what eats those insects
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
whatnot. So, yeah, the pesticide.
that'd be more of an
That-
individual thing, not,
Yeah,
a
that's
town
a
thing.
pesticide versus an herbicide. The herbicides are you're strictly talking about
Mhm.
killing all the
Just
weeds.
kill them, okay. I get
Yeah, yeah, but the pesticides, and it comes down to like a public health kind of thing too.
Mhm.
Where's the trade-off there?
Yeah.
And is your backyard abutting up to a stream, and does that spray affect,
Right.
invertebrates that, are there tadpoles and fish and frogs and all that, so.
Like years ago when they sprayed that, was it DDT
Yeah.
or something or whatever, but then they found out it was killing birds or
Yeah.
something, then
'Cause
they stopped
it's-
doing that.
Yeah, it's an accumulator.
Yeah.
It goes, as it goes
Mhm.
up the food chain, it accumulates at higher levels, and that's why, all those birds died, and because the eggs made the eggs fragile, and they couldn't hatch eggs. Now you see eagles everywhere.
Mhm.
I never saw them when I was a kid.
Mhm. Now it's
Never
pretty
saw 'em.
common to see them on the river.
Now we routinely see them
yeah,
on the
I fly out, they
river.
fly over my house.
They fly over our house. We have them over the field all the time at the farm.
You see them, Pete?
What's that?
You see
Bald
the eagles
eagles?
flying over the house?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so. Alright, so I lost track here. What's number 4? Is it the building code one? So number 4 was the MUBEC. MUBEC is the main uniform building and energy
Can we do anything
code.
about that?
I
don't think we can, I think that's
It's
a
pretty
federal,
restrictive.
state, federal thing.
It's pretty restrictive, especially for small business owners
Right.
and people building their own home.
But I don't think the town can change those.
Problem is exactly that. Applies to towns with populations over 4,000. We're at like 4,230. So, we can't get out from underneath it. I don't think we can change it or modify it. I think we're just kind of stuck with
I think
it.
we're stuck with that one, yeah.
But we can't choose to adopt it or not adopt it. We have to.
I think
You
so.
have
Yeah.
to. You have the option to, if your population is 4,000 or less, you have the option of adopting a building code or not. If you choose to adopt a building code, then it has to be MUBEC.
No.
If you choose not to have, so you either say we don't have any building codes, or you have MUBEC. And the problem with Pittsfield is all the towns around us don't have MUBEC. So it's less expensive to build in those towns. The permitting is less expensive. So much less expensive. We called around, we wanted to spray foam the inside of the cabin, and we got quotes, and the guy said, well, what town are you? And we said Pittsfield. He's like, I'm not even gonna give you a quote. It's gonna be 3 times the cost because of the energy requirements for insulation that the MUBEC has. He's like, you have to put in like so much more insulation than the next town over. And I've heard from people that have businesses, they're like, we didn't even think about building in Pittsfield
That's
because
just
of it.
insulation.
That's just the insulation.
Yeah, not electricity,
Yeah.
plumbing or anything else.
The structural.
The structural, yeah.
So is that something
So-
we would have to contact, like Scott Strong, like our representative?
I
to
don't know if
change?
Scott
I
can
don't
do
know,
anything
I don't
about
think we
it.
can change, I don't think anybody can change it, it's a federal thing and
It's the state, it's not federal.
it's not federal?
No, it's the state.
Oh, okay. But I remember
Yeah.
when Gary was mayor, Gary worked in that field and he was saying that this is gonna be expensive and there's nothing to do about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's expensive. One of the reasons why we built a log home is because it falls out of the parameters of MUBEC. You know, it's like, people are like, oh, it's so pretty, and it's like, it's practical. You know, we didn't have to deal, you didn't have to have engineered plans
Yeah.
and stamped engineered plans and everything, and, you know, that's pretty much why we chose that style of building, you know, but yeah, it does make it difficult when you're trying to encourage people to come to town, and when you have, there's a new development going up by the hospital on, what's the name of that street?
Layton
Because of
Street.
how-
Layton.
Layton, yep. On Layton at the end, there's supposed to be a new
Yeah,
development
that
going in
was supposed
there,
to start
but
this summer, it don't happen, but.
yeah, those houses are automatically gonna be more expensive than houses of the same kind that are gonna be built
In
the
Detroit.
next town over in
And
Detroit,
100 feet up.
because.
Yeah.
200 feet down the
Yeah.
road, yeah.
Yeah, oh, that nice little division that's going in on the left-hand side when you
Yeah.
go up Route 100.
Yeah.
Those are nice little, you know, probably one bedroom or studio
Yeah,
apartments. It'd be great
one
for
bedroom
seniors.
duplexes.
Yeah, it'd be great for seniors.
I think K&F is building.
Mhm.
Chris Cookson,
Yeah, oh, okay. Chris Cookson,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job. Doing
yeah,
things.
talked about that last spring.
Yeah.
He said that that's exactly what they're for, seniors, but they're
Yeah.
expensive, he said we could be charging $1,000 a month for
Oh, they rentals?
the rentals, yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
like
if
you
it
said, one
includes
bedroom.
everything and it's
Yeah,
brand new,
no, it does,
there's
it
no
does.
maintenance. Yeah.
Might include some plowing, or whatever, it includes any electricity
Yeah.
or all that good stuff.
If the,
Um,
what, like the engineered plans, like, does that mean like the groundwork part, or is it just like, we're talking like design of houses? So like if,
I believe it's the structure.
Right.
But
So-
there's certain things that, like Pete said, the concrete has to be a certain strength and constructed in a certain way, and,
I was just thinking like if,
Insulation under it, it's quite
yeah,
expensive.
yeah.
I was just thinking if Pittsfield had like, say, 10 floor plans that
Mhm.
we had approved and everything, and they was available for public use,
Oh, that's-
you know what I mean? So
yeah.
like they could, you'd be kind of having cookie cutter houses, but they have this, say, box, and they can do whatever inside as long as it's the
Right.
same structural, and it would save people the money of getting engineered plans every time.
That's a great idea.
I don't know if it's possible or not, but it's
Okay, so we probably can't change anything with Lubec. And then the next issue had something to do with that as well, as far as, yeah, so the question about Lubec was, Steve's response was just about tiny homes, which is the next thing we can address. And he just said, no other code is allowed. Modular homes and log homes are exempt. Modular homes and I think it's log home foundations, have to meet Lubec standards. So that's, you know, the foundation.
Foundation has.
modular homes are exempt, so,
Well, they're built off-site to engineered plans,
okay.
so,
But foundation has to be New Beck standard.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
So would the same be if you bought, say you built a tiny home, built it in Detroit, and then drove it, hooked onto your trailer, usually they're on trailers, and then brought it here, it's
Some
How's
styles
it-
are on trailers and some are just small, like a
just like
cabin
a
size.
shed or something?
Yeah.
So like he's saying, so if you bought, I'm just trying to think of like, like if somebody bought one of those
Yeah.
sheds, you know, like they have those sheds that you buy and they make
Yeah.
them into little cabins, that's okay, but.
I don't know about that. I mean, the sheds are like marketed as cabins, like for like weekend getaway or
Oh, like
living in
hunting camp
property
type
or
thing.
hunting camp or something. I mean, you certainly can. You can do anything with them. I mean, you can insulate them and everything, but most of them are 2x4 walls.
Mhm.
They're not, and then the roof is not. It's like 2x4.
Yeah,
You
this-
know, it's not designed unless you have them beef up and have them built to that. You can have them build it any way you
Mhm,
want.
right.
You know, just tell them I need 2x6 walls and I need 2x8 roof
Mhm.
rafters or whatever it would to meet that. But I don't know if the tiny houses would need to have the whole engineered plans and
What's the issue with the tiny
everything.
houses on the?
So right now, there's a minimum square footage in our ordinances of 750 square feet. in, where is it? Minimum sizes in C4 and R2. So C4 is a rural one,
Mhm.
residential 2 is in town, I believe, is 750 feet. R1 and R3, which are both residential zoning, is 1,200 square feet. So that would mean that like any, like those small, I don't know how big those small, like studio type or single bedroom ones that are in Detroit that were just put up, if they would meet this or not, if we have those minimums in there. Personally, I don't think that you should have to have a minimum, because if you don't need all that space, you know, the town is telling you you have to build a house this big. You know, if somebody were to buy that tax acquired property over by Sebastopol, that one that needs to be torn down, if somebody were to buy that and want to put up a tiny home and then have a larger yard because it's a small lot, you know, we'd be telling them, I think that's up in that area, we'd be telling them you have to build a 1,200 square foot house. You know, what if they only need a 750 square foot house? Well, you know, what if it's a single person or an older couple and they want just a little small ranch? You know, are we gonna tell them they have to build a bigger house in order to build there?
As long as it meets like plumbing codes and things like that, electric codes, I don't see a problem with making it so
Right.
they could have, say, whatever, 500 square feet or something. That's,
Yeah.
I don't know what one of these, a tiny home generally is. What is it, like 8 by 16 or something? Or?
They can be all different sizes. It depends. If it's the trailer style one, there's parameters. It can only be so big because you have to travel over the road with it. You know, so that style has more restrictions to it based on just because you're traveling with it,
Right.
and it's more of a portable house than a tiny home. Most of the tiny homes are built in place. You know, and some of them are timber frames, some of them are just stick built. Ours is 350 square feet. It was 16 by 20.
That's not
So-
bad. That's not.
Then we
That's
have a
bigger
sleeping
than-
loft upstairs.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just thinking like something that's, I mean, you could fit 2 of them in this room or something that's, or maybe more. 3. Well, have you seen the one that's on Route 100? It's right on the Burnham-Pittsfield line. If you're,
Down, heading toward Burnham?
yeah,
Past
right
you?
on the right. No,
Past you?
yeah, it's past my house, yeah. It's right on the Burnham-Pittsfield
Is
line.
it new?
Yep, they just put it in, it's been there probably a month or 2.
Oh,
I
I've
haven't
been
seen it.
down
It's
there.
on
I
the
usually
trailer.
go down, I don't usually do that
On the left or
stretch.
right?
I go down Snake Route to get up to
Oh,
Burnham and
yeah.
then
Gotcha.
come back through, so.
Yeah, but it should be
After Snake Road.
after Snake
It's
Route,
after
yeah.
Snake Route.
On the left or the right?
On the right if you're headed towards Burnham. It's, you know that rundown home that's been there forever that nobody's done anything with for the longest
I
while?
probably do, but I,
On the corner of Snake Route?
No,
No.
it's past that,
must be past the dam.
yep, past the dam.
I will look tomorrow, we're going to Unity tomorrow, so I will look for a little house in the right.
Because the old like rundown house is still there, and then like right in the same yard there was a garage. They tore that down and they just parked like a trailer, like you'd see on Discovery Channel or whatever, or HGTV. Where they built it on a trailer. And they're still working on it a little
Yeah.
bit. That's why I wondered if that's how they did it. Is they built it off site and then drove it here.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. So,
That's
yeah,
cool
check it
looking.
out.
Wonder if you can get a permit for it.
Yeah.
So I wonder where we go with that. I mean, it says they're now allowed by UBEC. See it attached appendix 5. I don't remember seeing appendix 5. There was,
So Newbeck allows them, we can just automatically adopt their parameters so we don't have to rewrite a whole like.
I would want to find them and look at them. I don't see a appendix 5 attached though. It just goes on to the thing. So we probably need a little more information about that then. But in general, smaller's okay?
Yes, fine with me.
As long as it
You
meets
just
like,
want a big yard to take care of, that's fine with me.
yeah, as long as it
Yeah,
meets the
okay.
plumbing codes
Right, yeah.
and you
Right,
can
meets
flush
all
the
the
toilet and
codes,
it goes
right.
down, all
Yeah.
that good stuff.
Well, you don't always have to have a flush toilet. You can have an outhouse.
Well, I suppose
But they're permitted,
Compostable.
they're permitted, or or a compost toilet. I was just gonna look and see real quick.
Just because if you get into that gets to a gray area. Is a camper a tiny home? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why that they've always put this size restriction is because they don't want someone. I say they. The idea has always been they don't want someone that has like a travel trailer and then just parks in the land and then they
Well,
live.
we discussed that about a year ago, right?
That's where yes, that's what generated the other, the other ordinances that
Right.
we were looking
Yeah,
at.
I think you had an issue with that, right? It's okay with you to, or you didn't want it? I don't remember.
What's,
The camper, living in the camper.
okay, and people are paying their taxes, it's on their property.
Yeah, no, I think the
Who's it to
issue
say
with
that
that
you
was
can't do
that
that?
somebody had an RV type setup in town and they were hooked into the septic of the house on that lot as well, and that's where the issue was, and that was addressed through the building codes, because you can't do that
Anyway.
anywhere. You know, you can't do that anywhere. You have to go to an approved dump station. So the Mubeck tiny homes, this is tiny print.
Tiny print to go with the
Yeah, I didn't bring my glasses, so.
Authority, Mubeck, residential code. Well, it said that it was gonna come right up. So this is just a bunch of changes. It's so hard to find anything on states.
What did we end up doing with that, Pete? Do you remember? Did we?
I think we didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything with that
I
either?
think it got voted down.
Well, yeah, because it was, the ordinance, was, the proposed ordinance was limiting the months and the time that you could be using them.
Right.
Was the actual ordinance that came
Yep.
to us, which didn't have anything to do with the original problem that it was supposed to be addressing. And that's, I think, why we didn't do anything to it. So we need to find out what the MUBEC says what about tiny homes. So we'll find out what that says. But in general, we think smaller ones. See, I thought that 1,200 square foot minimum, because it's the R1 and 3, those are like in-town residential spots.
Mhm.
I thought it had more to do with taxes and buildings fitting into the overall look of downtown, maybe, I don't know. Because it does, I mean, if you have a buildable lot, and this is one way that it is a drawback to have tiny homes, is that if you have a buildable lot in town, and somebody puts a tiny house on it, you know, that really limits the tax base for the town.
But not everybody's gonna
Versus-
live in a tiny home either, though.
Right, not everybody's gonna live in town. We have plenty of big old houses in town. Anybody wants to buy them, you know, there's plenty of them. But that's one drawback to allowing the tiny houses, that you are limiting your base.
Right.
But you have people that are happy with what they have, and you're not, you know, forcing people into bigger buildings than they either can afford or want to maintain or anything like that. And I think, and this is a trend kind of across the country, is that people are going to, you know, they don't want these massive houses anymore. They want small, easy to take care of, minimalistic kind of homes. But yeah, definitely. So smaller is okay. Follow plumbing, wiring, etc. codes. And then we can find out what MUBEC says about
Mhm.
that before we completely endorse it. But I mean, if MUBEC allows it and we have to follow the MUBEC, then it really kind of doesn't matter what MUBEC says about it, because we can't change their rules. We
It'll
just
have to be that.
We have to
anyways.
follow them.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't even need to find out what's in there, just because if we say we're going to allow it, it has to fall under that anyway.
That would be
It'd
interesting.
be nice to know
knowing-
what they are though when they somebody comes in and says, what are the guidelines?
Right.
It'd be nice to know, so.
So do we wanna recommend and say tiny homes are okay via the
As long as
MUBEC?
they follow all the other codes,
Okay.
the town codes, yeah.
Would that make some lots that are too small to build on now, if you had a tiny home, would that make it buildable because of the setbacks from the home? Is that the issue?
Maybe.
The lines? Is that the
Maybe.
issue with the lots?
Right.
I think with a small lot, the setback is an issue. You know, because if you only have a 90-foot wide lot or something, and I don't know what the setback in town is, I imagine it's less than the 30 feet because of.
I think it is 30 feet.
Is it 30
I think
feet?
it is, yeah.
So that gives you 30 feet from one side, 30 feet from another, you got 30 feet to build in.
Mhm.
That's more than enough room to have, does your well, they wouldn't have septic, probably, if it were in town, they would probably tie in, so they wouldn't have
Right.
to worry about septic setback and that type of thing. So, I mean, that could be a way to deal with that. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that was it for that. I thought there was, oh, the other thing was the business, there isn't information. Their lunch wagon, here it is. So the last one was the lunch wagon.
Mhm.
And basically that is just changing it so that the town office clerks can issue licenses instead of having the town council. Yeah, we would revise it to town clerk. So like Nicole would be issuing licenses instead of, right now they have to go through and wait until the town council can address it.
Mhm.
And then their application comes to the council and we approve it and then they get their license.
They want to be on state licenses anyway, right?
Yeah, they have to
Have their
have,
food
well,
programs
this
and all that,
says
and-
they have to have, police chief, the fire chief, the code enforcement officer, or their designees, they all have to sign off on, like, they have to bring their unit down and have it
Okay.
inspected, and that's part of the licensing application, I think. But they also have to have, like, DHHS has to sign off on it, and they have to have their mobile vendor license and their DHHS
Right,
license.
they have to have all that for the clerk to give them their license.
Right, they have to,
their
that's
permit.
part of their application.
And that's just a permit to bring it into town anyway, right? It's not.
Right, it's like the pulled
Drooling
pork
goat or
guy,
whatever.
the drooling goat guy, he had to get it, the tater people
fish
got
people,
it, the fish people.
What about the
So
farmer's
he's-
market people?
He's
Do they
just a
have that?
vendor, they don't have lunch, it's not a lunch wagon, they're not
Oh, okay,
serving,
gotcha.
serving food, that's a mobile vendor
Yeah,
license.
okay.
And they do have to have that too, for the farmer's
Yeah.
market. You have to have like I have a milk license, and then I have my mobile vendor license in order to sell off the farm. And so
Mm-hmm.
for anybody selling meat, you also have to have your freezers inspected,
Mhm.
you have to have a meat license, and it's just one big application to the state, and you check off all the things and add up the fees, and
Mhm.
then they come out and do inspection.
Wow.
Yeah, the form's like this long,
Yeah.
and it
I don't have a
has
problem with that anyway.
gas pumps and everything else on it. It's the most confusing form ever. But yeah, you basically pay the same rate that like Die Starts pays, even though they have like such a bigger volume of
Mhm.
sales. It's kind of funny. But yeah, so that's basically
Yeah,
just
I don't
saying
have a
that,
problem with
allowing
that.
that.
Yeah.
So that's a recommendation.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
6, yes. There's the
There'll be
change.
one less thing on the agenda that
Right, it's
takes up time.
one less of those housekeeping
Right,
things to do. I like to do that with a bunch of things.
Mhm.
So that was it, that was our 6 things. So basically, we agreed with all the proposed changes, we're gonna see if, number 1 and 2 on the home enterprise and home occupation can go right to the council, or if it has to go back to the planning board at all. The spraying, I think I think there needs to be language crafted about that, so I think that has to
Then we'll
go
go to the planning board.
to planning board.
Yeah.
And then that'll come back
Back
to
to
us
us.
to approve, and then it'll go from us to the council as a whole. UBEC we can't really do anything about,
Right.
but Matt had a great idea about having prior approved floor plans. And then, maybe if we can get some local builders to get involved in that, just to be able to encourage, because, you know, builders in town would like to work in town instead of going out of town to
Right.
work, so if they can help us make it easier to do that, then that would be good too. And then the tiny homes, smaller's okay, they're gonna fall under the MUBEC anyway, but we would wanna find the code on that. I'll see if I can find that. Not on an iPad, it's small. And then, yes, the lunch wagon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it, we're all done.
They left one off.
We did? For which?
This is the reason I'm here.
Oh,
Because it was brought up earlier in the summer. I've been waiting for an ordinance committee.
oh, really? Okay, okay.
It had to do with the sewer. And where the town's right of way begins and where the
Oh, yep.
Oh,
residents.
that,
Yep,
was that in here? I think
I remember that.
that was in her last note here. Said, I was just reading about that.
It had to do something to do with the town's responsibility and the homeowner's responsibility.
Yeah.
And where it picks up and ends. And there was a particular person at one of the meetings, for the town council meetings, that had an issue. where
Oh, here it is.
cost them like close to 30 grand because it crossed,
Yeah, they go across
went
the
into
road
the
or something.
middle of Route 100,
Mm.
which has concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to have a road opening permit and all that stuff. That was in the cost of them.
There was something to do with that.
So the sewer ordinance, this is the only note that's here, it says revise the sewer ordinance to require the owner to only dig to the edge of the road rather than to the location of the sewer main. This isn't usually an issue, however, it's a problem when there's a state road such as Main Street, Route 100, or Somerset Ave, and the sewer line is on the opposite side of the road from the customer who needs a sewer hookup. So that's one that I don't think we had any information about in our packet. It would just be a matter of changing the ordinance, and then the town would be responsible
From the
for,
road to the blockage or the hookup or whatever.
is that, do you think that
So
would
they
be
would have
under
to dig like
sewer?
their, from
They'd
their
have to dig
house.
from their house to the road, I would think.
Yeah,
To the right of way of the road.
Well, I was kind of confused about where the town right of way is. Isn't it at the curb stop, usually? So why would they be requiring residents to dig into the town's right of way? Because I don't believe, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
That makes no sense.
building, sewers, and connections, is that what it would be under? Protection from damage. Well, let's start there, building, sewers, and connections, 9-7. Nobody can make unauthorized connecting without a written permit. One residential, commercial permit.
Yeah, it says section 503, all costs and expense.
Installation and connection of building sewer shall be borne by the owner. Owner shall indemnify the town for any loss or damage. Installation and connection. Let me see if it actually specifically says that you have to have elevation of pipes. Well, this says applicant shall install all building sewers from the building to the property line. The town shall install the building sewer from the property line to the municipal sewer. So would that,
That'd be the right of way, right?
well, it says to the property line, your property line is only gonna go to the edge of the right of way, right?
I would think so. You don't own to the middle of the road.
No. Okay. Oh, that's what you cannot put in the sewer.
I see that. down to the specific pH level.
Well, that's important when you're talking about having manufacturing and stuff. Also, applicant, so 512 was where it talks about installing the building sewers, and then the other one that you saw was building sewers and connections, Article 5.
That's 503.
503, cost and expense. Installing building sewer shall be installed on the sewer shall be done by the town. Connection of the building sewer. Well, it seems like this part here about the fact that you only have to install to your property line, then the town has to install. So if your property line ends at even the edge of the road, and you install your line that far, and then the town has to do under the road to get to the other side, then that would be covered through that.
They're saying that they will install a building sewer line, but they're not saying they'll pay for it either. They're saying in the previous, that everything they
All
do.
costs will be incurred by the owner.
Yeah. Meaning the owner doesn't have to do the digging or hire,
So that's
but
installation.
they have to pay for it.
Okay. And the town will install with the cost and expense, the installation and connection of the building sewer.
You wanna see that, Dean, or?
If you read it, that's fine. I was
Says,
just curious as to what
section
it says.
503,
All costs and expense incident to the installation and connection of the building sewer shall be borne by the owner. The owner shall identify the town, or indemnify the town for any loss or damage may directly or indirectly be occasioned by the installation of the building sewer.
So that's for the new building, but what about existing?
Right.
oh, for replacing a line.
Doesn't say.
Well, connection, if you have to reconnect, says installation and connection. If you're installing a new line, if you're replacing a line, you're installing a new one. So I would think they're reading it, but that it would be like that. I thought that you were only responsible for the line on your property though, like not
I
on
think
your
that
property.
if something happens, if you got a blockage somewhere,
Mhm.
or a pipe breaks or whatever, you're responsible from the house to the curb stop, I guess, or whatever.
If the
Then the
connector's
town-
on the
wherever
same side of the road, then,
Right, but wherever that curb stop is, or town, your property line, wherever
Yeah.
that stops, then the town is responsible from there.
yeah,
If it's a blockage or a break.
right.
But if it's an installation, it sounds like it's the cost of the homeowner.
Seems a little excessive to expect someone to be able to
I had that issue
open a
when I
road
first bought
and.
my house. The sewer was backing up into my cellar.
Mm.
You do?
I've
On-
got two issues.
On
One the town actually did by
my school
accident.
street or on the other one?
Both of them,
Both?
yeah. On one of them, the town had dug the curb stop up because it broke when they were trying to turn the water on. And in the process, they collapsed the sewer line.
Oh.
Afterwards, I found that out after I backed into the basement.
I have a manhole right at the end of my driveway. And all I had to do was lift that manhole up and the water poured out of my cellar. So the block had to be somewhere between there and the road somewhere. So it was the town's, obviously the town's issue. So I called, this was back when we had dispatch here. And they told me to run a snake down through it. And I sat in the house for 15 minutes or 20 minutes and called them back and said I run a snake down through.
I
But I already knew where the problem was. It wasn't on my end, so.
I hired a guy with a camera to come to camera because they didn't think it was the town's responsibility,
Yeah.
but they found that it crushed it
Yeah.
where they dug.
Mm.
On the second residence though, it was a bad sewer line that needed replaced. It
Is that the one
collapsed.
on Highland?
Yes.
The one you dug up yourself
The
last
small
year
one
or
that I did
year
myself.
before?
But I had to dig down to the road, which is
Right.
past the curb stop.
You didn't have to open the road though, right? You didn't have to have the road open?
No, because the connection was right there.
Yeah,
In that particular case.
right.
But I know the one particular case that came up was a resident that had to.
See, you were lucky though, you didn't have to hire them, you have your own excavator there, so.
Yeah, luckily I did, because the prices I got were unbelievable.
Really? Is that when you bought the
That's
excavator?
what prompted. No, I actually already had the excavator. I have another piece of property that I use and I cut wood.
Oh, yeah.
I use it on there, but I happened to have it, which was lucky because the
Right.
prices they were looking to get to replace that sewer line were crazy. I did it in the weekend.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I had
that's what
about-
I'm thinking
I had
of.
about 20-something hours into it.
Wow.
Jeez. I don't know, 'cause if you're talking about a house on a main road and, I mean, the town is gonna have to do the work. So this basically says that the homeowner has to pay the town in order to do all that and get the
Right.
permitting and everything else. I wonder if there's a way to know how many lots this would affect.
Well, it'd be,
Anybody hooked into town will.
yeah, anybody in
Or-
town, but it'd be only like Route 100, Somerset Ave, maybe?
Somerset,
Thomas, it's
Main
Main,
Street.
isn't it?
Madawaska.
69,
all the little side roads off, Somerset,
So it'd be quite a few.
Waverly.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking ones that have across the road, you know, that would have to dig under the road to,
I don't know, Wayne Huzzy would have known that probably, but he might be the only one and he's dead, so.
so does this seem like an,
Well, I think when they redid the ones on the main drag, right, they're all connected in the center.
They should be,
So those people, anybody that's on the main road, their
Right.
connections in the center.
Right.
And they did that for the ease and to help with the installation.
Yeah.
At the same time, that kind of put the.
you put the burden on the homeowner.
so every house along the new, where they just replaced all that sewer up by the hospital
I don't know about the hospital, but I know like.
or Somerset?
They did.
They dug across the road in the hospital, but they didn't, most of the stuff was on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They dug everything up by the hospital.
Yeah, and every, 30, 40 feet they had to cut across the road there,
Yeah.
so. But most of the stuff was down the side of the road. And it was on the
West
left
side.
going up.
Yeah.
I'd say mostly affects people on the major, like Main Street.
Main Street,
Mhm.
Somerset.
So this
Telephone just get done too, so.
Yeah.
So this
I
has
think
the
they did most of those
potential-
in the middle.
Yeah.
This has the potential to affect a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So is it something that we need to address, or do we wanna leave it as is?
Maybe
Yeah.
ask someone from the sewer water department, would they know,
Let's have Scott come in and talk to us and.
Yeah.
kind of clarify, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure they.
exactly. Catherine would probably know too, but we could Scott come in and,
Do you wanna have him come to our next ordinance meeting? Do you wanna have a special meeting? Do you wanna have him come talk to the council about sewer
I
stuff?
think you can talk to us first and
Is that
then,
always
yeah,
exciting? Okay, so ordinance.
with the next ordinance meeting. Which probably won't be too far off if we're gonna have those two go back to the,
He's sometime next month, probably.
probably a month or a month and a half.
Yeah, cause we'd wanna be able, if we get the planning board to do their part, then come.
Right.
We have, two of them, we said we thought, the
Yeah, the first
enterprise
two.
home, we thought we could just go with that. The band, the Herbicide band, then that has to go to planning board and have them
Mhm.
workshop it. Newbeck, we can't really do anything about, that one's okay. So really it's just when that comes
Yeah,
back.
and we weren't sure about these, we think we can get
Yeah.
out of that, but we're
Yeah,
not sure.
we'll double check on that. So when this comes back to us, it'll probably take them at least 2 meetings to do something with that.
Right, and then we meet once a month, so,
Do they really?
yeah.
The planning board.
Yeah.
Once.
Oh, wow, okay. So do we know when they have a meeting coming up? Did we
Usually
miss
the
it in
second
January?
Monday, first or second Monday, I forget which.
So,
Second, I think it is the one right before our council meeting,
Yep.
I'm not sure.
so if I type this up, can we get it to them so that they have time to start looking at it for their next meeting? Because if they look at it and start gathering information in February, start to address it in March, maybe by
Yeah.
April have something to come
Right,
back to
yeah,
us.
exactly.
I mean, do we wanna wait on these other ones? I don't think there's anything too pressing. That's probably the most pressing one, just because it's,
The time of the year.
time of the
Yes.
year
Yeah.
coming up for doing things like that.
Try to get that before spring.
So, yeah, but we can have Scott come and see us, and then maybe we'll schedule, when we get this information
Mhm.
back, we'll schedule another meeting for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So, the planning board had.
Did you see the footprints over across the street from you? That house is empty? The second one in on the left, right across from Louise Dow there.
Right on the corner,
Well, not Jim Hammond, but the one right next to it.
after that?
After Jim's, yeah. The first one after Jim's. Right beside Dean. In between Jim and Dean. It's been empty forever.
On School Street?
On School Street, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's some footprints in the snow there leading out back of the house.
I just assumed it was somebody that came and plowed it finally, but,
It hasn't been plowed, has it?
yeah, it hasn't been for a few storms, but every now and then.
I don't think it had been this is after this storm.
Somebody will pop up and plow it.
Yeah, Linda saw it this morning on the way home from work. It hadn't been plowed and there was footprints going out behind the house there.
Is Jan left the,
I guess he's the chair, I guess. I don't know. I thought Royce was, but I don't know. I haven't been to a meeting for a while, so.
Yeah,
Roy was last couple of years ago when they were doing the wood stove thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Royce was,
Yeah, the outdoor wood boilers.
yeah, Jan's the chair.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll give him a call and give him a heads up. So we're throwing that out. Okay. So yeah, so Pete, we'll get more information about that and,
I just want to make sure it didn't get dropped off the list.
well, it was about to because I skipped over it. I was going by the things that we had attached information in the packet, so I'm glad you came. Yeah, because I
I've
was
been waiting all
about to skip
summer
over
for
that.
that.
Alright, let's check. We got enterprise, we got that, we got pesticide, let's say herbicide. We got the LULAC, and that's the county. The sewer ordinance, we can get more info, and then the lunch wagon was pretty much a no-brainer. I wonder if that requires an ordinance. I guess it does because it has to do with our permitting. It seems like an order, like a town council order would do that, but because it has to do with fees
Mm-hmm.
and permitting. So, okay.
Have
done?
explained that to me after the first meeting. I don't know what she said now.
Yeah, there's
Different-
information
order
here about
versus
orders
ordinance
versus
versus resolution.
ordinances versus resolutions.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
So, that's that. The other thing that I just wanted to kind of throw out there, and it might be one of those things that fall in line with the pesticide issue, is that I think that we should really take a wider look at a plastic bag and
I
styrofoam
can see Bar Harbor
containers.
ban
Ellsworth,
them.
Bar Harbor,
Just, I don't know where I read it in the paper or Maine Townsman or whatever.
Falmouth,
Yeah, a lot of towns in southern Maine,
Augusta,
South Portland, Portland,
yep,
Cumberland,
Yeah.
Cumberland, Yarmouth, I guess. is what I'm
Falmouth,
saying.
Yarmouth, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I talked to Tim about it a little bit because I think that the ordinance committee can work with the recycling committee on it,
Mhm.
you know, because it does have very similar thing. And I think that we can do some public outreach and education on that as well as the herbicide spraying. Because there's kind of some misconceptions, like Tim thought I was saying that you couldn't throw away any plastic bags. And it's like, no, we just want people using more. Like if you have plastic bags now, use them up, reuse them or whatever, recycle them. But the idea is that you don't have stores and shops and stuff adding more to the waste by having that. And usually it's a phased in kind of thing. It's like you enact your ordinance and then it takes effect like a year and a
30 days
half or
later.
2 years. Well, technically, but you can say the start date is,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but usually it's a year to 2 years to give businesses time to adjust and use up stock that they have so that they're not burdened with, what do I do with all this, you know, rather
No, but
than
Harbor was 30 days.
doing that.
Well,
Yeah, most of the
Yeah.
time they give people a little more time
Yeah,
than that.
we're
What's
right
this,
at
you know,
30
Is
days.
he looking away with doing plastic bags? What are you gonna get your groceries in?
Paper bags or reusable bags, you
So,
know.
but like Bud's does recycle, so that's counted or not counted?
It wouldn't be counted as recycling, cause you wanna keep, so the idea is reduce, reuse, and then recycle, you know, reduce the waste that you're creating to begin with. Reuse things if you can, and then recycle it if you can't reduce it or reuse it. And we do really good in town, we have a lot of messaging about recycling. It's the
They're very
reducing
proactive on
and
that, and done one great
the
job.
reusing part, like we got the reuse center, but the reducing part is the one I think that we're missing. But I think there's a lot of options in the community, like there's a quilting knitting group, and there's bags that you can actually take and cut your plastic bags into strips and then knit them into a stronger, more durable bag that won't rip and break after using it once. There's plans out there for crafty people that you take a t-shirt, you sew across the bottom, you cut the armholes out, and you have a handled bag that's pretty strong and
We did a
reusable.
girl at work, the wrap that we wrap our instruments and stuff in,
Mhm.
we used to throw it all away.
Yep.
And they come in different sizes, but she took the biggest one, which is 54 inches by 54 inches, and we'd save them and she'd take them home and sew them into reusable bags.
Yeah.
So then to give to the patients to take their belongings home with.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We used to
Well, she's
get,
not doing it, she's doing it anymore, but she did it for quite a while.
yeah, Bill, Wright, he was a
Mhm.
respiratory
Yeah, yeah.
therapist up there. He
Yeah.
was giving us, all the styrofoam containers that, the medicines and vaccinations and things came in. It's like, what do you do with all that? So
Yeah,
we
Bill,
were
I thought Bill was
using
a
it
hoarder,
to take
because
our-
he took everything home with him.
Oh, we got plastic buckets from him,
Yeah.
and we got like the ice melt buckets and the little
Mhm.
baby wipe type buckets.
Yeah.
Those were so handy. And then the little styrofoam things, he would bring those to us, and we'd reuse them. Tom could reuse them with his veggies
Yeah.
and stuff, and we reused them packing. We used those for several years, like carrying stuff back and forth. We'd make our deliveries with them. They were really handy. Yeah, you know.
Tom's pretty cool. We went out this fall with a load of leaves,
Mhm.
and he happened to be out in the yard, and he loves to talk anyway.
Yes.
And he'd come out of the house, and the dogs are running around, and
Yeah.
we backed up, and he'd go and tell us, "Can you go over here?" Because they had moved the leaf pile or something.
Yep. Yep.
And he had 2 huge onions in it, and I said, "You like onions?" We gave us 2 really big onions to take home.
See, your compost is paying dividends already.
Exactly, yeah.
But I mean, that's something that I just wanted to kind of throw out there as far as, you know, how we can have like a full circle of
Mhm.
involvement with the different committees and working together instead of like this committee doing this and this committee doing this. And, you know, it's all tied together in some way. But that's something that I, like, personal preference, would rather not see plastic bags and whatnot.
I'm
But
on
it
the
does.
opposite side of that.
What's that?
So I'm on the opposite side of that.
Oh, you like plastic bags?
Oh, I think it's ridiculous what they're doing away.
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm on your side.
I don't really one way or the other. So.
Yeah, it adds, there's alternatives out there.
Styrofoam
There's
bothers me though.
Yeah, I
the
don't like
styrofoam.
like the
yeah.
styrofoam cups and stuff. I
Yeah.
guess,
I
Like-
hate it when I forget my teacup. I usually bring it everywhere, and I left it at market last week, and I missed it so much because I like I had to go to A&E and get a styrofoam cup for tea in the morning.
I guess styrofoam is biodegradable. It takes like thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to degrade.
It's not like
overnight.
paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then paper, you're cutting down trees and to make stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, hemp is legal now, so maybe we'll have hemp bags and not paper bags.
They got the hemporium in Bar Harbor.
Yeah. Yeah. They just
Yeah,
signed
clothes
some
and-
legislation nationwide that they legalized hemp as a crop. So a lot of tobacco farmers down south are switching over because they use a lot of the same dryers and storage
Mhm.
type stuff is very similar, so they're using that. A lot of it's going into medical applications, but it also has a fiber
What would the rest of they use?
paper.
Take like the styrofoam, but
Yeah, you could
to
use
take out
paper.
stuff. Like cardboard,
Yeah.
heavy cardboard, or
Yep. it's a coated cardboard, it has like
Right.
a wax coating on the inside, or, yeah.
That was my initial thought.
Like an
was
egg carton type thing with the
Yeah, kind
material.
of, yeah, kind of like that, yeah, yeah, so, but I haven't had a chance to go around, but I wanted to go talk to pop on overs and.
I didn't realize
and-
Ellsworth had bands.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ellsworth was the latest one. Augusta just took it up last couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Have you been to a restaurant and used a paper straw yet?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity.
Well,
Yeah.
the rest was supposed to be getting away from straws anyway, it's harmful for
Yeah.
the whales.
Turtles.
And turtles, yeah,
whales.
sea life.
Yeah. Yeah, it just boggles my mind that our trash ends up in the ocean to begin with, you know, if we can
I was in the
not be
Navy
doing that,
for
that would be good.
9 years, I spent 5 of it on board ship. And anytime we were out 50 miles out at sea or more, every night we had trash overboard.
Oh, just put the
Okay.
trash overboard.
Yeah, but there's all in plastic bags.
Yeah.
You'd have to rip a hole in the plastic bag because the Russians would be following you and had to sink. So. You had to cut a hole in the plastic bag and throw it overboard.
Oh, good to know the Navy's out there protecting the waters.
And we couldn't leave it on board ship, we didn't have no place to live.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's like, I don't know, it's like single-use type
I
stuff.
mean, we had
like-
our own sewage treatment plant and everything, but we didn't have a garbage disposal to eat up all the garbage, so.
Yeah, what you need is a bio, what is it, it's a bio,
Compost area in the middle of the
energy.
ship.
Yeah, like a bioenergy, thing, to
Yeah.
get your hot water from
Right.
burning all the trash or
Yeah.
something.
That's, to me, if you wanna make a larger difference than just the plastic bags, is our trash from Pittsfield used to be hauled to a place that burned it and made electricity,
Yeah.
and now it's landfill.
Yeah,
And if you, like, I mean, I see the landfill like every other day, it's disgusting
Yeah.
how fast the landfill is filling
Yeah.
in now.
mhm,
Because of all these towns are going
Yeah.
to landfill versus before we was getting electricity, you know, like burning trash isn't necessarily the greatest thing, I'm sure, but it's better
You
than
get all these scrubbers and all that stuff on
Yeah,
your
they
stacks
have
now, right?
ways
Yeah,
to
you see it, it's
yeah.
all clear, I mean, you can't even
Yeah.
tell it's like on,
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
And it probably contributes to global warming, but
Well,
it doesn't
Donnie's
contribute
supposed
to.
Donnie's supposed to come and talk to us, so maybe he'll have some more information about, the new place that's supposed to be going on, the bio plant that's supposed to go online and everything, so.
Well, Tom Sawyer, he, that Sawyer didn't take anything anymore, right?
they're just like a transfer station
Oh,
now.
are they?
And they only take bulky waste.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
that
then-
just goes all to Juniper Ridge. If you wanna see a real big landfill, the main owned landfill in Old Town, it makes Nordwalk look tiny. It's insane.
But how long is it gonna be able to run? How long is it gonna be able to sustain itself and then keep going?
There's gotta be like 3 times the size it is now. They have the barriers out and it's hundreds of feet high.
Oh my
It's
I
God.
think
crazy.
when I was in Virginia, I was stationed in Norfolk for a while. In Virginia Beach, they have a place called Mount Trashmore. And what it was an old landfill.
Yeah,
And they made a park out of it. They got a big
yep.
fishing hole in the middle, swimming hole in the middle, and
It's
beautiful.
Eat fish out of it.
Because it's ski resort or something.
I've
It's
seen
beautiful.
where they've made ski resorts out of
Yeah,
it.
or like
It's a
tubing
great
or
big
something.
hill, you
it was
know.
right on the main
Yep.
interstate when you go by. There's a big thing out there with flowers that's Mount Trashmore.
Well, if you've got it, celebrate it, I guess, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
At least now
You're stuck with it.
they're using the methane gas too also.
Sawyer is, right?
Yeah.
What's he doing with it?
Yeah.
though? He's not burning it.
Yeah, they burn it and make electricity.
They do, because I never see it on fire. I never see it burning, so.
Well, it used to just be a big torch that they light, and they just burn for no reason.
No reason at all.
Yeah, 24/7. It's like they finally said, "Hey, let's put some generators in and harness that and make some money off
Yeah.
of it." And in the meantime,
So where's the energy going to Bangor or?
they still have Bangor Hydro. Yeah. So you're getting something out of it.
I remember flying where it smells like coral, so
Mm.
must be the day they didn't have it burned. But they initially did that so it didn't have an explosion in the ground, right?
Right,
Because
that's
so-
why they had
They have to
generate so
vent
much
it.
heat.
Yeah, it has to be
to
vented.
vent it.
Yeah.
But everybody makes trash. Just some make more than others.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's just, you know, education's a big component of that too.
I think so. Starting like schools and things like that.
Yeah.
Like when I was little, that's why I always remember like Donnie coming into the school and teaching us about recycling and things like that. And like forever, that's always, of course, I've been into that anyway, but it just always stuck with me is like recycling and things.
As a child in the
Yeah.
80s, we were like the original recycle everything. We had like the 3 R's and the thing. That's when that all first came out and stuff. When I was in like 6th grade, 6th grade. I remember making poster after poster, and that's what everybody did there. I remember doing a report in school about the greenhouse gases and the ozone layers, like when they first started talking about the ozone layer and all that. Apparently we fixed it though. There isn't a big hole in it anymore, so we're doing something right.
Then realize how much trash you generate. When I worked in the operating room, when I was working,
Oh my God, hospitals are terrible.
just the operating room, in every case was at least 2 bags of trash.
Yeah.
A big case, like a total knee or a total hip, you get 4 or 5 bags of trash.
Oh my gosh.
And that's regular trash, that's not including the red bag stuff that
Yeah.
gets thrown into the incinerator somewhere. And laundry, I mean, the laundry, 2 bags of laundry per case.
Laundry's not as bad as
But you still got all that hot water. And
Yeah.
all
using the water and the
Yeah,
energy
and the
and
soap
stuff.
and-
Yeah. Well, the alternative is to go out and
Scrub it on the string.
scrub it.
The old washboard on the string.
Pour a little
Yeah.
vodka over the knife. And
Yeah,
here we go.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So,
Bolt
okay.
the shoe on and.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right. So I get to lock everybody out.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Good job.
Thanks for coming, Pete.
Thanks, Pete, for keeping us on the straight and narrow there.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna do it.
I've had the misfortune of working at a trash restaurant. There's one place I will never ever step foot. That was nasty.
See you in a week.
Yes. You don't want to carry your binder home with you?
No.
Sleep with it at night?
No.
Learn it by osmosis?
I'll end up forgetting it. And
Have a good one.
You too.